What is going on, you guys? My number one tip for time management is to have a...
What's up, y'all? It is your girl, Sarah from Sarah Styles here. I recently asked a YouTube following what your guys' biggest struggles were, and the number one thing that you said was time management. As a mom of 3 children, this past year I was at home remote learning my 3 kids, and I continued to grow my business from $2,000 a month to $2,000 gross a week. And so I'm going to share with you guys my top 3 tips on things that I did to manage my time effectively and continue to grow my reselling business, as well as I have some of your favorite reseller friends sharing their top tips as well intertwined through this video. And then I will share with you guys my one bonus tip at the very end that has allowed me to list 10 items every single day for the last year. All right, before we get into my top 3 tips and tips from my reseller friends, I just want to kind of break it down and tell you every single second matters. I list roughly 300 items a month, so that's 10 items a day, and 30 seconds added to an item, that takes 2.5 hours a month for me to be doing whatever activity it is. So if you can find ways to shave even 30 seconds off of something that you are doing, it is going to be completely worth it. Sourcing. Stop wasting your time sourcing. I know we all enjoy, or most of us really enjoy the sourcing aspect, but it can be time consuming if you are spending your time sourcing in places that are not working for you. In this chart, this is my Sarah Styles Sales and Trends dashboard. Yes, that is correct. This is my Sarah Styles Sales and Trends dashboard. We are looking at my top performing categories for the past year. So I have the year up here. We're looking at the top categories. The 2 up here, you have your sell-through rate and your average sale price. If you are new to the channel, your sell-through rate is going to be how many items you've sold out of how many items that you have. 100% sell-through rate means that you have sold 100% of those items that you have available. This is going to be variable dependent on the time period that you look at. So when you're comparing things, make sure to consider the time period that you're looking at. And if you're comparing it to another metrics, make sure you're looking at the same time period. And then your average sale price. Your average sale price is on average how much are items selling for. This gives you a metrics to look at and tell you how certain things are performing. So in this chart, you have your sell-through rate, you have your average sale price. So up in this top corner means you have a high sell-through rate and you have a high average sale price. These are my below categories. This is going to look completely different for everybody because everyone has different sourcing available. Everyone sells different categories. This, I sell mainly women's clothing, shoes, and purses. But this chart works regardless of what you sell because it would be custom to your categories. So I'm going to do the caveat and tell you that electronics and home goods are definitely up in my below categories. However, those are because those are items that are consigned. I know nothing about those categories. So the person that consigns with me, my brother-in-law, obviously knows about those categories. So when I go to a thrift store, I focus and I only, especially if I only have a little bit of time, I only go to the categories that I know are going to perform well for me. Bags. 70% of the bags that I purchased last year sold, and they were selling on average for $54. That is killer for me. Sweaters is up there. Sweaters is more seasonal. So when my thrift stores have sweaters out, I will definitely hit up sweaters first as well as jackets. My thrift stores for the most part only have jackets and sweaters out when it's the season. So right now, it's a summer. I can't be sourcing there. Jeans. 64% of the jeans I purchased last year have sold at an average sale price of $30. And then shoes. Average sale price of $35 and a sell-through rate of 57%. So when I go to a thrift store, I hit up jeans, shoes, and purses, especially if I'm low on time. But the majority of the time, I will hit up those 3 sections and then I will go to another thrift store. I live in Colorado. I can walk to like 3 thrift stores and like 5 consignment shops. So there is plenty of thrift stores for me to hit up. If you don't have this option, your strategy and your data is going to look differently, but focus on what is working for you and focus on your strategies. And also focus on what sourcing places are working for you. Don't continue to go to places that are not performing for you. I rarely go to the bins, and it's not necessarily that I don't like the bins. It's that if you look at this chart, the bins don't perform well for me. They give me the lowest return, and typically for me, it takes me the most time at the bins because you're having to sort through things and find things. When I go to thrift stores, I can go to shoes, bags, and purses and move on to the next thrift store. That's not an option at the bins. And if you don't have these sales and trends dashboards, it's no problem. You won't be able to look at your data, but you can still see what's performing. eBay has Terapeak data, and I will link up here. I will link a video up here about how to use Terapeak, but it is free to everyone now. They've released it to everyone. You don't have to have a store. You can go in there and research what is selling and what you should be spending your time on. Before we go to my next tip, let's hear from some other resellers.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany, and my tip for time management is just to simply block off that time. If you've got some listings to get done, just block off a 2-hour period. If you know you get 5 listings an hour, you know you'll get 10 done. If you haven't already timed yourself, set a timer, and that way you can determine how long it takes you to do what. That way,
Will's here, Soul Inspired Seller. So my number one strategy for time management is blocking my time and batch working. Sounds like 2 different things, but they really go hand in hand. So for example, I will block 1 hour to photograph shoes. I will turn my technology off, distractions aside, and I will solely focus that 1 hour on photographing shoes. And that.
All right, so a lot of other resellers say batch work, right? And I'm not going to disagree with them. Definitely batch work is a huge contributor to time management and prepping your batch work as well too. So when I went to the thrift store, I went to 2 or 3 thrift stores, and sometimes I'll wait until I have a lot of shoes. I will put all my shoes, and once I have 50 shoes to clean, I will go through and clean them, because seconds, guys, even if you're like, oh, it only takes a few seconds times 50 shoes adds up to a couple minutes. A couple minutes every day adds up to a couple hours at the end of the month. So batch work, but do it strategically and do it cleaning your shoes. And then when you're ready to take photos, I have everything ready to take photos. And so when I have a few minutes, I can hop into my studio and I can start taking photos. And I break it down even more. I take all of my photos and I do all of my cleaning and everything by type. Because if you're taking photos of jeans and all you're doing is jeans, you get in a rhythm and everything is set up for what you're taking your photos of, and you're shaving seconds off of it. And it may not sound like a lot, guys, but seconds adds up to minutes, adds up to hours, and you're able to do more if you guys can batch work, and you can batch work strategically.
What is going on, you guys? My number one tip for time management is to have a system of accountability in place. If you have a goal of wanting to list 20 items that day, reach out to your friends and family and Instagram audience and let them know that's what you want to accomplish. And if you don't send them proof listed 20 items that day, you owe them $50 or you owe them $100 or something to keep you accountable and motivated to get your goals finished.
Time management tip: be real intentional with your time on social media. That means schedule it. You can schedule up to 3 times a day, but stick to that time. That means use a timer. This is for posts and engagements, and once you're done, turn off.
And then I'm going to say time yourself. This is something that I did over the past year. Is I have processes and I would time myself, and then I try and beat it. I would time myself doing it how I normally did it, and then I'd say, okay, I'm going to change this. So time yourself, make an improvement, and then retime yourself. And race against yourself, right? Like, I am so excited when I'm like, oh man, I got my shipping down, and now it only takes me under 2 minutes to ship, because I'm kind of competing with myself. And don't try and do too many things. Change one thing. Small progresses make big changes over time. Time yourself, make one change, and then do that for a week or two, depending on how frequently you're reselling and doing this activity. Do it for a week or two until it's part of your habit, and then move on to something else. And then you will get into these habits, and it make your processes faster, so that when you are batch working, you're able to do more. Before we get into my one bonus tip that has allowed me to list consistently 10 items a day on eBay every single day for the past year, even though we were in quarantine, remote learning, 3 children, I was able to list 10 items a day. If you guys like reseller tips, if you like to learn how to make more money reselling, data-driven strategies that will work for anybody regardless of what you sell or how frequently you sell, my strategies are going to work for everyone because I teach you how to figure out what works for you. If you like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give me a like, and drop your guys' time management comments down below.
Hola amigos, les habla Reselling Magnus Hips y el tip número 1 para listar más rápido es sacar muchas fotos un día a la semana y dejarlas en su teléfono salvadas para cuando tenga tiempo ir listando poco a poco.
My time management tip is to create text shortcuts in your phone and on your computer for things that you write in your listings and for sending out offers.
So my bonus tip is get ahead. I did a video recently and I will link it up here, and I call it banking. It's not an official term. It's kind of just what I call it, but it's getting ahead. And this is how I list 10 items every single day. I bank. So essentially it is being able to bank items and have items in my drafts ready to go every single day. I usually am about a week ahead on drafts, and I'm about 3 weeks ahead on photos. So instead of saying, hey, today I'm going to list 10 because I have time, and today I'm going to list 2 because I have time, and tomorrow I'm going to list none because I have time, I am consistent because I consistently stay ahead. So when I have 10 items, when I can take photos for 10 items, I list 5 of them and then I put 5 of them into my bank. I will link the video up here so you guys can understand that in a little bit more detail. If you like this video, YouTube thinks that you're going to like this way. YouTube thinks you're going to like this video. I will link more tips and tricks here, and then hit that subscribe button.